Have you ever wondered how airplanes stay aloft and manage to take off? This marvel of human ingenuity and engineering is no magic, but rather a fascinating dance of science. Welcome to our journey into the science of flight, an intriguing combination of principles and forces that make possible the miracle of aviation. Delving into the science of flight is akin to peeking behind the curtain of an awe-inspiring performance. It's about understanding the role of each player in this grand spectacle: lift, gravity, thrust, and drag. Each of these forces has a distinct part to play, a unique contribution that, when combined, enables the magnificent feat of flight. Today we are going to unravel the mystery, to explore the beautiful complexity that underpins something we often take for granted. We'll delve into each of these principles and forces, explaining how they work together to keep aircraft soaring in the sky. So buckle up as we take off into the science of flight. The first principle we'll discuss is lift. This is the force that gets an aircraft off the ground, opposing the downward tug of gravity and supporting the weight of the aircraft. But how is it created? Let's delve into that. Imagine the wings of an airplane. Air flows over the top and bottom of these wings simultaneously. However, the air above the wing moves faster than the air below. Why? The shape of the wing, known as an airfoil, is designed in such a way that it speeds up the air above it. This difference in speed creates a pressure disparity. The slower-moving air beneath the wing exerts more pressure than the faster-moving air above it. This disparity, in turn, creates an upward force. This force is enough to counteract the weight of the aircraft, forcing it upwards, defying gravity. And that, my friends, is what we call lift. Now, let's not forget about gravity, the force that keeps us grounded. This mysterious, invisible force pulls everything towards the center of the Earth, acting as a constant downward force. Whether it's an apple falling from a tree or a jumbo jet cruising at 30,000 feet, gravity is always at work. In the context of flight, gravity is the adversary that must be conquered. It's like an invisible tether trying to keep the aircraft from ascending the sky. Gravity pulls the airplane down while the airplane strives to climb the airways. To overcome gravity, an airplane needs lift, a force we discussed in our previous scene. Lift is the superhero of our story, counteracting the force of gravity, pushing the plane upwards and allowing it to soar. Without gravity, flight as we know it would be impossible. It's the balancing act between lift and gravity that allows airplanes to fly and land safely. Gravity, it brings us back down to Earth, literally. Thrust is another key player in the game of flight. This force, my friends, is what propels an aircraft in the direction of motion. Thrust is like the main character in a riveting novel, pushing the plot forward, driving our airplane through the vast skies. But how is thrust created? Generally, it's the work of jet engines or propellers. Imagine the engines as the brawny arms of a rower pulling the oars through the water. In an airplane, the engines gulp in air, compress it, mix it with fuel, and ignite it. This process results in a powerful burst of air that pushes the plane forward. Now, thrust doesn't work alone. It's in a constant tug-of-war with another force, drag. As the airplane moves, it has to plow through the air ahead of it, creating resistance. This resistance is drag. But fear not. As long as our trusty thrust is stronger than the drag, the airplane will keep moving forward. Thrust, the driving force of flight. Last but not least, let's talk about drag. Drag, my dear friends, is the resistance that an airplane encounters while cutting through the air. Picture a swimmer pushing against the water to move forward. That push, that resistance, that's similar to what we call drag in aviation. Now, there are two types of drag. The first is form drag, which is caused by the shape of the airplane. The smoother and more streamlined the airplane, the less form drag it experiences. The second type is friction drag, caused by the friction between the air and the airplane's surface. Here's the catch, though. Drag isn't a foe. It's a force that needs to be balanced. For an airplane to maintain its speed and altitude, the thrust produced by the engines must overcome the drag. Too little thrust, and our airplane slows down. Too much, and it speeds up. So you see, drag is a crucial player in the game of flight. Drag, the resistive force of flight. So let's sum up what we've learned. In the magical world of aviation, four key principles and forces come together to make flight possible. First, we have lift, the upward force created by the movement of air above and below a wing. This force counteracts gravity, the omnipresent force that pulls everything, including our aircraft, towards the Earth. To overcome gravity and achieve lift, we need thrust, that forward force propelled by the engines. However, as we move through the air, we encounter resistance known as drag. This force tries to slow us down and must be overcome by additional thrust to maintain speed. In essence, flight is a delicate dance of these four forces: lift, gravity, thrust, and drag. It is their intricate balance that allows an aircraft to ascend, cruise, and descend in the vast skies. And there you have it, the fascinating science of flight, explained in simple terms. Until next time, keep your minds soaring.